Today we're going to talk about the 5 best exercises for carpal tunnel syndrome, or what you think is carpal tunnel based on what your doctor said or what you found online, because most of the time it's actually something else. And today you're going to learn exactly what that is and the 5 best exercises that will help you resolve your wrist pain. And they're going to help because they're actually addressing the real problem that's causing your pain. Now I'm sure you're wondering, what's actually happening with my wrists? Well, let's start with what you would actually feel if you had carpal tunnel syndrome. The key signs, especially early, is pain in the hand, numbness and tingling specific to this region of the hand. And this is because for carpal tunnel syndrome, it involves a nerve at the carpal tunnel becoming irritated. And that causes those tingling and numbness patterns along the first 3 fingers. Now, ask yourself what you're feeling. Do you feel tingling? Do you feel numbness? Or is your pain a bit more localized at your wrist? Maybe the thumbs, maybe the fingers, maybe the back side of the hand, maybe the thumb side of the wrist. If you aren't feeling numbness or tingling or pain in this specific pattern, it's very, very unlikely you have carpal tunnel syndrome. But here's the kicker. In the past decade, we've seen over 3,000 cases of wrist and hand injuries, and a majority of them have come to us with doctors who have diagnosed them with carpal tunnel syndrome, when the top 3 pain patterns were the palm side of the wrist, the top side of the hand, and the pinky side of the wrist. And guess what? Out of those 3,000 cases, only 1 of them presented with mild carpal tunnel syndrome symptoms after our comprehensive assessment. And instead, most of them involved the tendons. And so how is this possible? Most of the people that came to us felt pain because of typing, clicking, gaming, guitar, piano. And I want to ask you, what's more likely with small repetitive actions? Is it A, the nerve that travels in the tunnel becomes irritated from the repeated use of muscles and tendons? Somehow the nerve gets compressed. Or B, we have tendons and muscles that are responsible for those repetitive movements that get irritated. Yeah, it's B. These tendons need to have enough endurance or capacity to handle the repeated stress. Now, I'm not saying that eventually, if the tendons are irritated enough, they can't swell and reduce the space at the carpal tunnel to irritate the median nerve. But in most cases, that's not happening in the first year, 2nd year, 3rd year, sometimes even the 4th year. Like in a video game, you have an HP bar, and those tendons and muscles have only so much HP, and you lose HP as you're using it, like when you're clicking and typing. And when you do things like optimize your ergonomics and posture, that can reduce how much HP you lose over a certain amount of time. And then you can rest to restore the size of your HP bar, but the size of your health bar is the most important, because that represents your tissue's capacity or your muscular endurance, which you have direct control over. And again, it doesn't mean that eventually, if it's poorly managed, it can't lead to carpal tunnel syndrome. But in most cases, the tendon gets irritated first. And I've actually gone into significant depth on this in several articles and videos. So if you want to dig into the science and physiology, check out the links in our description below. So the tendons are involved. And like I said, the pain pattern we see the most is the palm side of the wrist. So I'm going to show you 5 exercises that are going to help build up the capacity of these tendons and are the best for carpal tunnel syndrome. This is the floor flexor stretch, and it's going to be targeting the muscles on the palm side of the wrist and hand responsible for bending your wrist and fingers. To perform this exercise, go onto your hands and your knees with your palms flat on the ground and rock forward until you feel a stretch on the palm side of your wrist and forearm. Not everyone has as much mobility as I do, so be mindful of how much you can actually tolerate. You don't want to push past significant discomfort, and you should not be feeling it on the front side of the wrist, as that typically is associated with joint irritation. Instead, you should only feel the stretch on the palm side of the wrist, forearm, and hand. You can rock for about 10 to 12 repetitions and perform 2 to 3 sets. This is dumbbell wrist flexion. All you need is a light dumbbell between 3 to 5 pounds. You're going to start with your forearm supported and slowly roll that dumbbell down into your fingertips and then roll it back up slowly. You're going to be moving at a slow cadence to ensure high overall time under tension. This is going to target those same flexor muscles and help you build up that endurance. You want to perform 12 to 15 repetitions for 2 to 3 sets. These are towel grip isometrics. Grab a long towel, roll up one side, sit on a chair and put your feet on the towel. Then grab the roll with your fingers and bend your wrist up, resisting with the pressure at your feet. This exercise is great because it actually targets both the flexors and extensors, so the muscles responsible for clicking or lifting your fingers off of the mouse and keyboard. You're going to do this for 12 to 15 reps with about a 2 to 3 second hold. Wall push-ups are another great exercise to strengthen the tendons and muscles of the wrist and hand. All you're going to be doing is opening up your fingers as shown, placing it onto the wall. You can adjust the difficulty of the push-up by how far you're standing away from the wall. Slowly perform the push-up, adjusting the tension based on how difficult the exercise is, and repeat that for 12 to 15 reps for 2 to 3 sets. This is a median nerve glide, and it can help relieve neural tension and relieve some of the symptoms of a nerve entrapment if it's present with your pain. To perform this exercise, elevate your arm with your elbows bent and your palm facing upwards. Extend your elbow and tilt your head towards the opposite shoulder. This should feel like a gentle pull and should not be painful. And make sure you use caution when performing this exercise as to not irritate the nerve. Some increase in nerve symptoms is normal, but if the numbness, tingling, or pain is intense, you should decrease the range of motion. Perform this for a set of 10 to 15 for 2 to 3 sets. And there you have it, the 5 best exercises for carpal tunnel syndrome, but actually tendinopathy. If you do these daily, you should notice some progress. But also being transparent, everyone has different circumstances around their injury. Their levels of conditioning are different, they have different ergonomic setups, the length of time they've been dealing with this problem, and the beliefs associated with that, those can all impact the progress that you see. But generally, if you've dealt with it for a shorter period of time with less than 1 to 2 months, you will see some progress pretty quickly, typically in 2 to 3 weeks. But if you've dealt with it for more than 3 months, then you need at least 6 weeks before you notice some progress. And regardless, you will get back to 100%. It's just a matter of when, and take some patience and working with a good provider. If you want to learn more about some of the other exercises you can do for other regions, the second most common and the third most common, check out the guides below. But if you want to learn about more of the science of RSI and the physiology, watch this video right over here.